Good morning, friends and fellow traders. This is Doug Campbell with Right Way Options, and this is the Morning Market Prep video for February 20th, 2025. Well, hope everyone had a great afternoon, great evening, ready for another wild day in the market. Today, we've got quite a few earnings reports. This is our biggest day of earnings reports rolling out, and some economic numbers, of course, that we'll be looking at here in just a little bit. How about we take a look at what happened overnight? First off, Asian markets mostly lower last night. In fact, I thought right across the board in those markets. Australia lower by 1.15%. The Nikkei was down 1.24%. India just barely lower, 0.09%, while South Korea was down well over 1%. Hong Kong down 1.65%, and the Shanghai only down 76 cents or 0.02%. So kind of a bearish day in the Asian markets. If we take a look at Europe, Europe had a rough day yesterday, but they're trying to pop back up a little bit this morning. Their Schneider Electric company over there posted a record beat beyond expectations in their earnings, and so helping to revive things a little bit over there. But the DAX right now up 0.47%. We've got the FTSE. FTSE is down 0.20%, and the CAC is up 0.64% this morning. Now, when we look at U.S. futures, we've got a little bit of bearishness here this morning, but it has been flopping around quite a bit. We got the Dow futures at this very moment down $95, and we've got the S&P 500 futures down $16, and the Nasdaq futures down 62.25. So just a little bit on that bearish side here this morning, as we await more data here on the day. If we take a look at what's happening in oil this morning, if we look at XLE, you can see we had a pretty good run here the last few days to the upside in oil, pushing back up toward resistance on oil producers anyway. And we've got oil pushing higher again this morning, up 25 cents at 73.35 a barrel. Brent crude is at 76.28 a barrel, and natural gas looking a little bit lower after quite a run to the upside here the last few days. Now, one of the reasons we are probably seeing oil moving a little bit higher is bonds are easing up just a tiny little bit. The 2-year bond is at 4.26%. The 10-year bond is at 4.53%, and the 30-year bond is coming in at 4.77%. Still maintaining pressure here, but they've eased off on that rally here just a bit. And as a result, one of the things that we're seeing is we're seeing the dollar just a little tiny bit lower here today. Right now, US dollar down 21 cents on the day. You get that little downtrend maybe starting to happen here, and that is having that bullish impact on some of these commodities. Now, if we take a look at some of those commodities, the precious metal side of things, well, boy, quite the run here in gold that continues to the upside. There's lots of stories out there about massive amounts of gold being purchased, being shipped to the United States. And we're talking not just retail traders, we're talking some big, deep pockets buying large quantities of gold. And we're seeing that gold continue to run hard to the upside right now. Gold futures are up $30 an ounce at $2,966 an ounce, looking like it's on its way to that big round number of 3,000 an ounce. If we take a look at silver this morning, SLV also pushing up here this morning, up let's see, almost 58 cents at 33.62 in the futures at the market at this moment. So watch that carefully as well, those precious metals moving to the upside. If we take a look at copper, COPX trying to make a move back up here after a little bit of volatility, coming back to test support. Right now copper's up 38.5 cents, platinum is up $6 this morning, and palladium is up $14 this morning, trying to push things a little bit higher. If we take a look at those cryptos that had a good day yesterday, BITO here, following through with yesterday's push higher. Right now up, let's see, $945 a coin, or 0.98%. Ether this morning is up $22.25 a coin, up 0.82% this morning. Mostly green, a little bit of mix, but mostly green on those cryptos here this morning. So what does all that mean for the day? Well, how about we settle in? Let's buckle up. Let's get ready for the Thursday edition of the Morning Market Prep video. Good morning once again, everyone, and thank you so much for being here. I very much appreciate it. Let's take a look at these index charts and see if we can figure out how we might want to approach the market for today. Remembering we want to look at these charts without a bias. We want to stay very, very focused to the price action of the chart. What we want the market to do really doesn't matter. It's what the market or the price action is actually showing us. So be willing to look at the market completely, not just the way we would like to see it move. First off, if we take a look at the diamonds, my goodness, we have tightened this wedge to an absolute spear point here in that chart. So here again, we've got about a 50% chance of pushing through to the upside or pushing through to the downside. Unfortunately, we continue to suffer from extremely weak market breadth here in the we'll look at that in just a second, but if we can get a little bit of bullish action in here, pushing up, breaking through this resistance, then we'll start pushing on through and we'll start testing areas up in here, maybe all-time highs in the diamonds. Of course, if the bears were to come up with any inspiration today, pushing back down, you can see where those tails are right in here, where we get that hold in the last few days here of trading. Pushing down there to test that as support and then breaking that down would probably start pushing us toward this next area of price resistance in the chart, or price support in the chart. So watch that carefully. We're still well above our 50-day moving average, so nothing terribly problematic here, but I do suspect we are setting up for a big move in the market. We have been coiling up and coiling up and coiling up, and I think a big move is possible. So make sure you're planning your risk very carefully, because I think when it goes, it's going to go quickly. So just be prepared. Now, if we take a look at our SPY, SPY making a new record high yesterday, pushing on up after those FOMC minutes, and it was weird. There was no action during the FOMC meeting, and then just suddenly just kapow, it popped up, and after it popped up, it went nowhere. So nice strong move there in the SPY, new record high. So if we can continue to find that bullishness here in the market, then what we'll want to be doing is watching for that push here through this resistance up here, and then continuing to see blue sky above in the SPY. If the bears, however, have any kind of inspiration today, well, pushing this back down, you can see there's a little bit of support right here. Nice little support area. It runs all the way back over here, as you can see. And if those bears were to push a little bit and test that area of support, probably not a problem at all. It would be if that area were to break back down, where a little bit of concern might come into the market. We might test this upside trend here and price support in the chart here, keeping in mind that we're well above our 50-day moving average, so no major worries there at the moment on the SPY. Pretty much the same thing with the QQQ. We did see big tech having a little bit of a struggle yesterday. But that being said, pushed up here nicely. We're trying to get continue to make new record highs here in the QQQ. Little bit of a uncertain pattern up here in the candlesticks, a little hanging man, a little spinning top doji here. That can be at times indicative of a topping pattern, but it requires follow through to the downside. If, however, this is just the beginning of a consolidation, it's not all that important. So watch that carefully here. If the bulls can find inspiration today, pushing up through here, new record highs in the Qs and blue sky above. If we start to break down below this area right in here, if the bears have anything to say, pushing into here, holding that area support's no problem. But if we were to break down below there, then I would suggest likely outcome is a push down into this price support here in the chart. So watch that carefully. Now, if I were to take this trend line here and kind of redraw this up this way, you can see we're still in really good shape here on the QQQ and extended away from its 50-day as we continue to pile into the tech sector with really no concern about valuations in this sector. It's truly a remarkable thing to see. It's something that reminds me very, very much of the very different circumstances here in the market, but it reminds me very much of a bubble forming here in the QQQ. Just kind of keep in mind, bubbles can last a lot longer than anyone expects, so I'm not saying it has to pop anytime soon. It could continue to move up for a period of time. There's nothing in here that says it can't. If we take a look at our IWM continuing to struggle in here, had a little bit of a pop, once again up there testing that downtrend, up there testing that 50-day moving average that continues to decline. Just can't seem to get enough attention in here to get much going. But if those bulls do find inspiration here, popping through this little resistance high in that downtrend would be a pretty significant change here in IWM. We're just going to need some breadth in the market to do that. Pushing this up through here, and then we'd look at a test of this resistance right in here and then see if we can push on beyond that point. Of course, if those bears have anything to say in here, breaking this little area of price support in here, pushing this down, well, you could certainly see that opportunity where we could move on lower, retesting some of these areas of support here in the chart. And I personally think there's a high probability we're going to see the 200-day moving average here in IWM, unless something changes here in market breadth. Let's take a look at our VIX. Now, our VIX yesterday popped up and pulled right back as we continue to show that we have no fear with all the uncertainty out here in the market. We are just willing to buy consistently here in the market. Well, at the same time, the breadth is really weak, so something strange going on here. But still have this downtrend in play, no fear, particularly here in the market. We've got a good area of price support here in the chart. If the bulls have anything to say here today, well, continuing to push this on down, testing this area of support, and then maybe even breaking lower in the VIX. If the bears have anything to say, I would look for a retest of this resistance up here and then a possible push through. Again, I think we're going to need a little bit more breadth to get some of these things resolved here in the market. Maybe today the log jam will break. We'll see. Let's take a look at our T2122. The T2122 indicator in here, you can see we kind of finished the day right there, middle of the road, after that bounce back up on the day. So we've got about an equal opportunity for the bulls or the bears, depending on who gets the inspiration here on the day, which one can make that push happen. So we're kind of straddling the fence as we're heading into a big day of earnings and some economic data here that certainly can move the market. Let's take a look at our T2108. Now that pop up yesterday, right there at the end of the day, pushed us back above 50% here in T2108. And then it just kind of faded back by the end of the day to be just below 50%. So we're right there in the middle of the road here as well. We've got just about half the stocks above their 40-day moving average and about half the stocks below their 40-day moving average. So just kind of straddling that fence here. If the bulls can find any inspiration here in the market, I would look for a push through to the upside here to maybe come up and test this downtrend and some of these resistance levels in the chart. Of course, if the bears have anything to say, then a push lower seems like a likely possibility, pushing back down into some of these areas of price support. So keep a close eye on that. If we were to take a look at our T2107, pretty much the same thing. We had a little bit more fade here in T2107, still below our 50% area here in the chart. Again, if the bulls can find inspiration, I would look for a push up here, see if we can retest that and maybe even break through. If the bears have anything to say, maybe we push down, testing some support and maybe breaking that on lower if the bears get something going here today. And then here's our real problem. T2101 continuing to fall. Now, when you look at this chart, you think there's no way it can go lower, but if we pull this back, we can. We have in the past gone lower. Now, this is a daily chart pushing us back down, but you can see we can push this breadth even lower here in the market. It's rare, but what breadth is saying is we have really no momentum or energy on the bullish side, and we have really no momentum or energy on the bearish side. So what that means is when something breaks here in the market, and it could be either direction, your guess is as good as mine, either direction, I'm expecting a big move because we're really coiled up in this really tight area of the market, and something is going to give here eventually. Will it be today? I have no idea, but we'll want to watch that pretty closely because we have seen times, I'm going to go to a longer term, where we can go quite a bit lower here in our market breadth. So I'm not saying that we're going to pop up here right now, but watch that closely. We certainly are struggling here on that side of things, which is odd this time of the season where we have slid out from underneath. Most of the stocks are out from underneath their blackout period. We're not seeing the corporate buyback activity pick up in here to really change that breadth. So watch that carefully. Let's take a look at our economic calendar here for today. And our economic calendar, well, we've got a few things to be paying attention to here this morning. First off, jobless claims will be coming in here this morning. They're looking, consensus is suggesting around 215,000. If it stays in that range, I don't think the market's going to have much of a reaction in there, so keep an eye on that this morning. Certainly a market moving number. We're going to get the Philly Fed numbers after that. Philly Fed consensus is looking for a 22.7. It's a pretty significant pullback from 44.3. So watch that carefully. This as well could have a little bit of price movement in related to that number. We've got Goolsby speaking. We've got leading indicators number. They're looking for a 0.00 up from a negative 0.1. So keep an eye on that. Natural gas report, a petroleum status report will be today. Whole bunch of bond announcements. We've got a couple of bond auctions in here, a 4-week, an 8-week, a 30-year tips auction this afternoon, with some more Fed speak throughout the afternoon, Fed balance sheet, and even more Fed speak. As we look into Friday, we've got a PMI composite number here that we'll want to be paying attention to. We've got existing home sales, consumer sentiment numbers, quarterly services survey, more Fed speak, and a Baker Hughes rig count for Friday. So think about that one. And by the way, earnings drop off dramatically on Friday. But for today, we have a pretty large number of earnings going here this morning. As a matter of fact, we just got earnings from Walmart. And Walmart heading south here, at least at the moment. We'll see if they can pick that up in their conference call, but at the moment, seeing a little bit of bearishness here after that. So take a look here at these earnings today. We've got, go ahead and grab a screenshot on that, pause the video, and we'll cover just a few of these here as soon as you get a chance to do that. Let's take a look at a few of these here this morning. Take a look at COLD, nothing happening there yet. BIRK, a little bit lower here so far this morning. CCJ is trying to get a little bit of a pop up. CNP trying to move a little bit lower here today. CWK, big gap down and complete reversal here. That one might be interesting to pay attention to this morning. DAVA, a little pop up trying to happen in that one. NTR, we've got Pool here today. We're going to hear from Trip. Oops, there we go. Trip this morning, trying to get a little higher. We've got Southern Company in here, a little pop and drop going on. TCK in there as well. And also, we're going to hear from Wayfair. Looks like Wayfair is moving lower here already this morning. This afternoon, we also have a pretty strong list. AKAM will be in there reporting this afternoon. Keep an eye on that. We've got XYZ, which is the old SQ block, will be reporting this afternoon. We've got ED that will be in there, Consolidated Edison. We're going to hear from FIVN. We're going to hear from GH. We've got MP that will be reporting. Newmont, which is actually in a very bullish pattern here at the moment, will be this afternoon, with Rivian in there reporting as well. So OLED will be in there reporting this afternoon. So keep an eye on some of those reports for today. How about we take a look at a few stocks that could be setting up for today? But before we do that, everyone, if you could do me that quick favor, if this is the first time you've seen these videos, if you could please click that subscribe button on YouTube, and also click that bell icon when it pops up so you'll be notified every time I post a video. And if you find these videos to be useful or helpful, if you do me that favor and click that thumbs up button, leave a brief comment, that helps an awful lot. It really is the engagement with the video that makes the difference in having YouTube show these videos to more folks. So thank you everyone who does take the time to do that. I truly appreciate it, and as you know, I try to answer as many of those as I can. So thank you very much for your time. I really appreciate it. Let's take a look at a few stocks that could be setting up for today. And remember everyone, these are not recommendations to buy or sell any security. Do your own due diligence. Be very careful in this market. As I said, I'm expecting some kind of big move in the market, whether it be up or down, and I think it's a coin flip as to which direction that might be. So be prepared here for those big moves and even pretty substantial whipsaws here on the day. First off, let's take a look at some discounters here. If we take a look at Dollar Tree, Dollar Tree trying to come up here out of this bottom, something worth paying attention to, pushing through to the upside. Now, Dollar Tree is in a pattern that we call the round bottom breakout. Up above its 50-day, could stretch right on up there toward that 200-day. Very nice looking pattern setting up. Not quite ready for prime time maybe. Might have to rest just a little bit more to build enough energy to pop this big basing pattern here in Dollar Tree, but worth paying attention to. Another one would be Dollar General. Now, Dollar General trying to push back up here through the same thing. We've got a little bit more of a concise pattern in here. It's been in a long downtrend, really beaten up here in that chart, breaking this downtrend, trying to push back up, and once again trying to get through that 50-day moving average. Now, of course, Walmart earnings and things like that could have positive or negative effects here on these little discounters, but watch that carefully here today. Could have some life coming to that here pretty soon. Take a look at Mondelez. I've been talking about this one for a while. Mondelez pushing up here, we broke through that 50-day moving average, trying to improve its overall look. I think any kind of rest or pullback in here sets up an opportunity in Mondelez, and some of these defensive sector stocks showing some of that bullishness coming around here. So I think we might be seeing a little bit of that rotation here in the market. I think with that in mind, you might want to be keeping an eye on Coke. If you take a look at Schmuckers is not one of those that's really been participating yet. It's trying to come up, but we're seeing things like Hershey coming up, moving through to the upside. So there are some of these defensive sector stocks showing that bullish move and maybe that rotation here in the market. Now, with the dollar a little bit weaker today, I would be keeping an eye on some of these metals and miners. In here, as you guys know, I've been talking about VALE for a while. This was the alert in the chart. Moving up, again, it's in the rounded bottom breakout. We've got some resistance right in here to think about, but may just push right on through toward that 200-day moving average. So keep an eye on VALE. It's looking good. Take a look at GDX. GDX is all kinds of set up for some more bullishness to the upside here with a little bit of fall in the dollar. I would look for those metals and miners to push right on through here, looking good overall. And when we talk about anything in that metal sector, I think we better be keeping an eye on steel as well. Steel Dynamics, nice little look in here on this chart. Popped to my alert, kind of pulled back, rested, held it as support, continued higher, showing a little bit of bullishness here this morning. Will it have enough energy to pop through this resistance up here? I'm not sure on that, but I would be keeping an eye on it. US Steel. Now, this one is, again, that political football where they want to be sold, but they can't get sold. The government's standing in the way of it being sold. I understand kind of the issues on both sides here, but watch that carefully. A little bit of bullishness came in yesterday with a weakening dollar. Maybe this has that energy to just push right on through, attack this resistance up here, and maybe even push on through that area of the chart. So keep an eye on some of those steel stocks, some of those commodity stocks like sugar, cane, in a very bullish pattern here. Soybean has have been in a little bit of a choppy resting pattern here, but it is holding support worth keeping an eye on. Keep an eye on wheat. Has been making a big strong move to the upside, and of course I've talked about all this week this commodity tracking ETF DBA, all set up in a very bullish pattern and bullish trend. I would watch that carefully if the dollar continues to show that weakness here in the market. Take a look at Adobe in here. Adobe been moving up in this pattern, nice little inverted head and shoulders pattern right in here. popped up, rested a little bit back toward trend, I would be looking for that next opportunity, maybe for Adobe to push through, maybe attack this resistance up here, and it really could get going pretty good if it can get through that area up there on Adobe. Once again, round about a breakout pattern forming here, break through the 50, holding that area in here, look for that next opportunity there in Adobe, and that's why I set an alert on the chart. I'm still liking silver in here a lot, PSLV, physical silver looking good. No reason to be bearish on that chart here at the moment. Keeping an eye on Mickey D's. It's had a pretty strong pullback in here, but if this can hold this area of support in the chart, again, it's more of that conservative, dividend paying, defensive type stock. It's not in the defensive sector, but kind of in that defensive type area, consumer cyclicals. Watch that carefully in here. If that can hold some support in here, you might actually see that push on higher. So there's quite a few stocks to be paying attention to here, and they are on the bullish side and the bearish side at the same time. Take a look at CCL. CCL, I think, is setting up for a potential bearish move. Watch that carefully here. NCLH also giving me that kind of a bearish pattern look in here. Take a look at Jets. There's quite a few stocks out there showing us maybe that hint that there's a problem here. So watch those carefully. I think we have that potential. Like I said, we could have big moves one way or another really, really quickly. So with that, everyone, I want to wish you all a fantastic day. I want to wish you great results in your trading. Thank you so much for being here today. I truly appreciate it. Next week, I'm going to be leaving on Thursday to a funeral for my brother, and I will be gone for a few days, but I will be here I'll right up until Friday morning. So Friday morning, there will not, next week there won't be a morning market prep video, but I'm gonna stay here and continue to work as hard as I can while we're preparing to take off. So you guys take care, be safe, have a wonderful, wonderful day, and I will see you right back here bright and early Friday morning. Wish you all the best.